welcome everyone this evening. As I prepared for my message this evening and what I felt God wanted me to share with you, I went back through journals that I've written through the years. I probably have 30 journals. And through the journals, I would do my Bible study and I would write down scripture that touched me in a certain way or passages that touched me. On March 28th of 2015, I wrote the following. I want my life to be one long, beautiful song of praise to God. Help me speak boldly of all you have done for me. It took me 10 years, almost to the day, but I'm going to try to sum up a little bit of what God has done in my life. Now, recognizing that we all have our story, and having done this, I highly recommend that everybody, even just for yourself, do it. Write it down. It's something you can give your families, and it just helps you find where God has been in your life that sometimes we tend to forget. As long as I could remember, I had 3 loves. They were music, children, and Jesus. Even as a little girl, ask my sister, we would play church. I was always the pastor. I was the oldest. And we always sang hymn number 1 because it was the only one that we knew the title of, Holy, Holy, Holy. And we even had Christmas Eve services at our house. And it was my birthday. And all day long we would be back in the back bedroom practicing what we were going to do. And my brother Ray was just, he was my brother Ray. And he had a lot of fun. And we would put on these Christmas programs for our families that evening. And as we got older, my mom left us use real candles, and I even made bulletins, believe it or not. But the first time that I was actually certain that I had a place in heaven, no matter what I had done in my life or what was coming in my life, happened right here. And I'm going to tear up a little bit. We had Lenten services. At the time, we were Trinity and St. Paul's were yoked. Pastor Frank was the pastor here. That's Pete's dad, Frank's dad, and Claire's husband. And he announced at the beginning of the service that we were going to have an opportunity to go forward for an altar call. Now, me and God, we go way back. And I said, well, Lord, I'm not going to be the first one going up that aisle. I'm not doing it. Because he gave me the twins, you need to go. And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not the first one. Okay, that went for a little bit, and then it was like, I'm not crawling over anyone to go up that aisle. I'm not doing it. Well, guess what? The person beside me moved, and I wasn't the first one that went up. But having going forward, having been prayed over, having finally made that step in front of everyone and not caring who was seeing me do it, gave me the assurance that I never had. I knew if I walked out the doors that night and went across the road to my car and got hit by a truck, I knew where I was going. I knew. And to this day, it's still there. I have no fear I know where I'm going to go. And I want that for everybody. So you guess, okay, so things are going to go good after that, right? You gave your life to Christ, so your life's going to be perfect now. Well, it was pretty good for a while. Dave and I got married in 1978, and just like all young couples, we had our dreams of a beautiful home and full of kids and just a happy life together. Well, Satan, he hits those spots that's going to hurt you the hardest. So he's like, I'm going to take kids away from her. She loves children. She's not going to get them. She's not going to get kids. I'm going to keep them out of the way. And we were told, after some time of trying, that we were not going to be able to have biological children. We went home after that gut punch, and we prayed about it for a while, and Dave and I talked about it, and we decided that adoption was going to be our option. That there were children in this world that needed a family, and that's what we were going to do. We were going to be a family for those children. Little did we know our wait was going to be 8 years. 8 years. But during that time, and I can't for the life of me remember how it happened, we became foster parents. And during that foster program, we were given 2 little boys that were brothers. The oldest, Dustin, was 18 months, and the younger was 5 months old, Anthony. Those 2 little boys lived with us for 2.5 years. We were all they knew. They were babies when they came to us. We were all they knew. And the parents did little to nothing to try to see them or to spend any time with them at all. Anthony was rigid when he came because he was never held. We had to do physical therapy with him, and Dustin would cry from the moment I started dinner until we got to sit at the table because he was afraid he wasn't going to get to eat. And we finally got them to where they were comfortable in their life. They came to church with us. They were loved by family and the people in the church. And the caseworkers even said, we're going to file for the relinquishment of the parents' rights. They're not doing even the minimal, we're going to do that. And the judge said no. No, they're going back. So the New Year's Eve, we packed up our truck and we took them back to Clarion. And as far as we knew, we would never see them again. But I remember the night before we took them, I remember praying to God, God, you know their mother's heart. You know what she truly feels. And if she loves these boys, then she deserves another chance. She deserves another chance of being their mom. But it sure did break my heart. And it broke Dick's heart. It was, up until that point, the hardest thing that we'd ever been through. But guess what? God made a way. He softened the hearts of the parents so that they left us get the boys for weekend visits. And we had a relationship with them up until the time that they started elementary school. Then it was too difficult to the back and forth. But to this day, I still have contact with them on Facebook. And I'm able to talk with them. And the youngest is a Christian. He's very much a Christian. And I told him just recently how much that meant to my heart that he had made that decision in his life. And because, now here's God, okay, so he couldn't give us those 2 kids because they needed another chance with their mom, okay? And we knew that when they came to our house that there was going to be a chance for them. But he said, you know what, let's move you to the top of the list for adoptive parents. So not too long after we had lost Dustin and Anthony, I was laying on the couch one afternoon. And I don't think I was asleep, but I saw in my mind this beautiful brown-skinned baby with great big dark eyes looking up at me with more love than I had ever seen in my life. And I kind of forgot it for a while. And then one day I said to my mom, oh, hey, God's taking care of it. We're going to get a baby. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but we're going to get a baby. I know we are. A very short time following that, we had found out that Kara had been born. And we received her when she was 2.5 months old. She was a beautiful baby girl, full of life, full of love, and became a very athletic, great person that we enjoyed going to all of her baseball and basketball games and just having a lot of fun with her. Then, almost unheard of, 18 months later, we got Brady, and he was 1 week old. Now, they were meant to be brother and sister because you don't adopt children that soon. It doesn't happen. God was there, and he's like, take that, Satan. I gave him kids. Our life was perfect. And Brady was my music. He loved music. From the time he could start walking, he entertained and he sang. And he was the music. He was my gift to music. So he's checking all the boxes. But then, here's Satan again. Okay, your kids look different than everybody else. So they're going to have to bear that. They're going to have to bear that crutch. My kids have suffered greatly because of racism, especially my son. And he continues to this day. Some horrific, it's not my story to tell, it's his story to tell. Horrific things. And it breaks my heart. And I told him when he was younger, and it happened in elementary school. And I told him, feel sorry for those people that treat you that way because you're such a great person and they're never going to get to know you because of their issues. It's their issues. But it still hurts. And now he has a daughter. And Kara has a daughter. And Kara's daughter has a son. And now I have more. And I'm praying for them. I pray that God continue to keep them safe. And that someone who has these disillusionments don't hurt them. Let's see. I have my cards. So shortly after Brady had finished preschool, I'm kind of going back and forth here a little bit, I apologize. The woman who owned the preschool was the Mother Goose Christian Preschool, and she ran it in her home in Reimersburg. Her name was Marilyn George, and she had decided it was time to give up the preschool. So God was like, buy it. He said, good day, can I buy it? And I'm like, oh yeah. But guess what? We did. We bought it. And I was so excited because more kids, and I get to share Jesus with all these kids. And oh my gosh, how much better could it be? And I have summers off. I mean, what more can you ask for? And so we moved the preschool to the community center in East Brady. I did the first year. I had probably 8 kids because I was all by myself, so I didn't have too many at a time. And then the next year, getting all ready for the year, and guess what? God played a trick on us. I became pregnant at the age of 43. So what a blessing, but it was about 20 years too late. But that's okay. It's okay. And so I decided that I couldn't be a mom to a newborn, a preteen and a teen, and a good wife to my husband with a business. So I decided to sell it. And God found a wonderful Christian woman who took it over. She ran it for many years. And then Michelle Craig purchased it from her. And there's Terry and Diane and Julie, who comes to church. Julie, can't think of her last name right now, Fokker. And Michelle, they run it now. And there's on average 35 kids a year. Hundreds of kids have gone through that school. Hundreds of kids have heard about Jesus. We don't know what a difference it made in their lives and the lives of their families. We don't know. So God took something that, a desire of mine, and it wasn't for me, it was for Him, to bring His word to a community that was needing it desperately. In 2004, Kara became a single mom, and sweet Caroline was born. Sweet Caroline, so full of energy, and very artistic little girl, and we loved her with all our heart. And Kara and Caroline lived with us for a while, and then they went on their own to be their own family. And all was good for a while. But then in 2008, we discovered that Kara was a heroin addict. Things spiraled very quickly, very badly. Caroline came to live with us. Kara was so close to death it wasn't even funny. And I can't, there aren't words to explain to you how it felt. You know, when you hold that baby, the baby you prayed for 8 years, you hold her, you look at her, you don't think of her laying on the grass, not able to keep her eyes open because of the drugs that she's pouring into her body. And we tried to get her help. She refused help. And it ended up that she ended up in prison. I can't tell you how many times she was in prison. I can't tell you how many times she was on the street. I have no idea what her life was at that time. I just know that I was in fear constantly for the phone to ring because I was so afraid of what we were going to hear and how was I going to tell Caroline. I chased drug dealers off my front porch. They ran up the street super fast because I told them I had my hand up. I'm calling the police right now. You need to leave. My heart was broken, and I remember saying to God, help me. What do I do? I can't. I don't even want to get out of bed in the morning, and I've got these babies to take care of, and a husband, and teenager. Help me. What do I do? How can I get through this? And almost as if He were speaking to me, I heard, you need to give other people the information. You need to inform people. You need to give them a chance for families to know what drugs look like, how people act when they're on drugs. Give them tangible information. So I went to my pastor, Randall, at that time, and I said, this is what's going on. And so we decided we should have an event. Everyone said, if you get 20 people there, you're going to be lucky. You're going to be lucky. Well, there were probably 40 volunteers. So we already beat that just by everybody showing up. Many of you are here. And this brings me back to the story of Moses when he raised his hands when Joshua was fighting the battle of the Amalekites. And every time he raised his hands, they were winning. And every time his hands were lowered, they were losing. Well, it went on, and Moses couldn't hold his hands up anymore. So God gave him Aaron and Hur, and they helped him hold up his hands, and they won the battle. All these people who helped us celebrate, they were the ones that God brought to raise my hands so I could do what God wanted me to do. I couldn't have done it by myself. There's no way. There were newspaper articles, there were interviews, everything was free. That's all I kept saying. I want everything to be free. I don't want money to be an issue for anyone to not attend. I want it to be free. There were people from all over come. There were young children, there were older children. There was pastors that prayed with you, there were former addicts that spoke, there was music, there was pony rides, there was all this free food, there were all these drug and alcohol agencies came, and over 200 people came to this event. Well, then we had another issue. Most of the people gave us money. Well, wait, see, we thought we were just going to do one event. That's all we signed up for, one event. But no, God doesn't stop with that. He's like, one event's not going to save these kids. One event is not going to help these kids. So we're like, okay, what do we do with this money? The after-school program began. It's been 16 years. The average is 35, 40 kids a week.
Right.
Still holding up the hands, like Terry, Pete, Mark, still holding up the hands. They've been there from the beginning, helping with this program. And these kids, we don't know what we're doing for them. We have no clue, but I do know that every week they hear a gospel message. Every week they're told that somebody who cares about them, that they're important. They get something to eat. They get to make a craft if they want to. They can beat each other up with the dodgeballs, and we don't even yell at them. We let them do that. They get to have fun, and there aren't any cliques. It's everybody plays together. It's such a safe place. And they know that people show up week after week after week. Somebody cares about me. We don't know what that's going to do with their future. But I'm just so thankful for those people that are holding up the arms. I can't even explain what that means to me. So going back to Kara, she now is a recovering addict. She has been drug-free for about 6 years. It took a lot of prayer, and she was in prison for a while, and it finally dried her out, and she finally realized, I don't want to be like this anymore. Now her addiction is plants and growing things. She loves to plant a garden. She loves to mow the grass. She has her dining room table you will never eat at because it's just covered in plants. That's her thing. It's making things grow. And she loves her daughter and now her grandbaby. She has reason to stay clean now. And I'm just so thankful to God that He kept her safe because I really, truly don't know. I don't know. I know one time she called me and said we just got shot at. Who's we and where are you? And yeah, it's rough. And I know that there are some that have family that have an addiction of one sort or another. And it's awful. It's not just the addict. It's not just the alcoholic. It affects the entire family. And it affects you forever. My kids have a different outlook on things because of the things that they saw and the things that happened. It's a horrible thing. And if you can support anyone in any way, shape, or form that deals with that, please reach out. Please reach out. And I just wanted to say my experiences are unique to me, but I know that each of you have your own amazing testimony. And if you've never done it, I really recommend that you write it down, even if it's just for yourself. This experience has reminded me how much God has done for me. You know, you just get so busy living your life. Sometimes it's just like, oh, yeah, okay, I got that. Okay, we're good now. But it has renewed my spirit like nothing else. And I'm like ready to just get in there and do something. And I'm so thankful. And through the experiences of my life, I realized that God has given me eyes to see and a heart to feel love for the homeless, the poor, the abused, the addicted, the outcast, those who live differently than me, and those who look different than me. I'm going to love them like Jesus does. My three loves, music, children, and Jesus. Boy, God has richly blessed me. Satan did his best to take them away, but guess what? It didn't happen. I'm surrounded by children now. I can't even, in between, I had mission trips to Guatemala where children would just, it was amazing. That's another story in itself. Hundreds of children. Some of you are in this room that I had in preschool, and I'm so thankful for that. Yeah. Two things I know to finish up. Struggling doesn't last forever, and God is always on time. And God's plan is so much better than anything that I could ever imagine. Thank you.